spot, bringing stats like a kingpin. MMA knowledge meets his nephews all leaning, breaking down fights, calling stat daddy supreme. On Just a Tip show, he's cooking up a dream. Uncle Weezy, he the man, dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand, MMA guru, more than just a fan. Wanna know the numbers? Weezy got them cataloged, from the fighters reach down to how many times they dog. Just a tip living, breaking it down slick, hit you with the knowledge, won't miss a single trick. Uncle Weezy, he the man, dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand, MMA guru, more than just a fan. Balls deep predictions, he be making those calls, getting in the details, opponents feeling small. From jabs to takedowns, got the whole fight ID. Uncle Weezy spitting truth, no lie, keep it G. Blow the horn, blow the horn. Stat Daddy Weezy not showing no scorn. Fight Night Kingdom, he wearing the crown. Break it down for the peeps, never looking like a clown.
Oh, yes. What's going on, everybody? It is Friday afternoon, 2 o'clock Central Time, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. We are never late. And it's time for Just a Tip with me, your host, Uncle Weezy. I'm going to give you just the tip of the stats, just the tip with the predictions here, do a full card breakdown for you guys of this really good UFC 315 card that is taking place in Montreal, Canada, this Saturday night. And we're going to take care of business, give you picks on all the fights. I'm going to give you a dog pick of the week. I'm going to give you Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Who's going to win and win violently and do it at a good price so that you can cash some tickets. And we're also going to give you a Greasy 4-leg parlay that's got some meat on the bone. We're going to talk to you guys in the chat, see what's up with you guys, see who you like this week. I like this card. These are two phenomenal title fights. I'm really looking forward to seeing which one of these fighters get their hand raised in both of these title fights tomorrow night. And I'm really not convicted on either fight. You know, I can see paths to victory for both fighters, and I'm not exactly sure how things are going to play out. But when we go a little bit lower on the card, there are definitely some spots that I like. The people who are supporting my work over on the Odd Shopper got some really good lines this week. We beat a ton of line movement. The pricing tools that are available in my probability stats and content package, they have a real good way of pointing out when value is blatantly obvious. And we found some of those spots already this week. And hopefully now it's just up to the fighters to cash those spots for us. So I'm going to take you through, like I say, a full card breakdown here. Then we're going to give you a dog pick. We're going to give you the ass shaving of the week. I'll take you through the Greasy 4-leg parlay. And then we're going to chat with everybody here that is live with us watching this here. And yeah, we're going to have a good time. We're going to put on a good show for you guys. I tried to give you guys some free content earlier in the week. I told you on Twitter, if 5 people, because we got almost 5,000 subscribers here on the YouTube. I've got over 5,000 followers on Twitter. I just wanted 0.1% of you guys to sign up and check out the probability stats and content package that's available on oddshopper.com. And I said, if 5 of you sign up, I will put out the best full card breakdown show that there is for free on YouTube this week. But we only got 3. But I'd like to thank the 3 people that signed up, and the 3 people that did sign up for 50% off of the original cost of $25 a month. And so they got it for $12.50 a month. Those people got access to Probability, the best prop betting show that there is. They got access to the best full card breakdown show with the most information, balls deep breakdowns with me, your host, Uncle Weezy. And if you want to be a part of the team, if you want to join up and get access to my fight write-ups, to my stats packages, to my betting models, to all of my tracked bets, to the Discord where we talk fights, and see all of the subscriber-only content that I work very hard on every week for you guys. Check it out. There's a link in the description of this video for 50% off of your first month's membership, and that would be great to have you guys on board. I'm telling you, Supporting your content creators that do work hard out here in this space on YouTube for you guys is very important, because we don't get support from YouTube. We don't make shit off of YouTube. So when you like what you see, know that we're coming here of our own free will. We're coming here and working for free, essentially. So try to support the people that you think bring a lot to the table, because they're not going to be around for long if you don't. So let's get right into it. We're going to talk about all these fights. All these lines that you're going to see scrolling beneath the beneath me here on the ticker are from earlier in the week, and I didn't update them, but a lot of these lines have moved quite a bit since we talked about them on Balls Deep Breakdowns when I did that show live on Wednesday night for the Odds Shopper crew. So first fight of the night is going to be Brad Katona versus Beksat Almakhan. And actually, let me just get the stats up here for you guys. So for this fight, I've got a 1-unit bet on the Brad Katona money line. I got that at plus 158 very early in the week. Beksat Almakhan, I think, is a good prospect. He looks to be very well-rounded. He's got power in his hands and kicks. He's got really nice head kicks that we've seen him get a couple of knockouts with on the regional scene. He's got good offensive and defensive wrestling, some pretty good anti-grappling, and pretty solid cardio. And he's faced some decent guys. You know, not great a level of competition, but he's not a can crusher either. And then Katona is just the more experienced guy, the more well-rounded guy, the guy who fills the space with a little bit more activity. And he's faced the much tougher strength of schedule as a pro. I got Katona at plus 158. I'm thinking I might hedge out here, because Brad Katona is somebody that fights on very thin margins. And at this point, Katona going from like plus 160 down to all the way to down to plus 110 at some point this afternoon means now that Vegas needs Almakhan to win. And Brad Katona finishes nobody. So this fight is going to go to the scorecards if Beksat doesn't get a finish. And so with 90% of Katona's win condition being a decision, I don't think it's really that smart for me to hold the ticket anymore when I can lock in a profit. But I still think Katona's the better all-around fighter, and that Beksat Almakhan still has a lot to prove at this level. So I'm going to go with the more experienced guy, the guy with the better strength of schedule, to eke out a very close decision win here. The next fight that we're going to talk about, Daniel Santos versus Junyong Lee. This line is flipped big time. We've seen a ton of money come in on Junyong Lee over the course of the week. If you see here, Junyong Lee currently sitting at minus 140 when he opened at plus 135 and sat at plus 160 for a couple of days. So we've seen definitely a ton of money come in here on the Junyong Lee side. I'm actually picking Santos to win this fight because I still think that Junyong Lee has a lot to prove at this level. You know, starching a bunch of Asian dudes in road to UFC is meaningless. Once you get to the UFC level, the level of competition that you're going to see at this level compared to what you see on the road to UFC tournament is it's just completely night and day. And Junyong Lee didn't even win the final. He lost to Yi Jia, got taken down in every round, but the judges helped him out quite a bit. He didn't do anything, but somehow he got 2 out of 3 rounds on 2 scorecards. And even the ref helped him out. Like, he fouled Yi Jia, kicking him in the fucking head when he was down with Yi Jia on top of him. And the referee stops the fight, doesn't take a point for a blatantly point-taking offense, and then starts the action back up on the feet where Lee has the advantage. So, and then he beat Blake Builder, which doesn't really mean a lot to me at this point. And then he gets dick sawed by Hyder Emil, which doesn't mean a lot to me either, because Hyder Emil is very fucking good. But I just don't know what's going on with this Santos kid. Now, the kid couldn't even make 145 today. I mean, he made it, but it took him a couple of tries. This guy is notoriously always having tough weight cuts, a lot of medical problems. He hasn't fought in 2 years. But I've just seen Daniel Santos go out there and put on pretty good performances against actual UFC guys. And I think he has the kind of style that could take somebody like Lee, who's going to kind of depend on being pretty and winning minutes and finding that moment, against a guy like Santos, who's just ridiculously durable, who never stops coming forward and who can break you if you have any self-confidence or any conditioning issues at all. Somebody like Santos, who can just eat your biggest shots, continue to come forward, can wind up breaking you. So I think that's probably what's going to happen here, but I have no money on this fight. There's so much variance in this fight that I want nothing to do with it from a gambling perspective. Santos has all kinds of potential medical and health issues. This is up a weight class. This is the third different opponent that Jun Yong Lee was supposed to have. He was supposed to fight Trevor Peek. Then he was supposed to fight Gavin Tucker. Now he's getting Willie Cat Santos. So I don't know what's going to go on here, but this is one that I don't want to touch with my money. I'm picking Santos, but I don't have any passion in that pick. It's just a fight I'm going to stay away from. Next fight, Marc-Andre Barriault versus Bruno Silva. So Bruno Silva missed weight today. And I was chatting with my guy DFS by the numbers, and he was saying that Bruno looked drunk and that it looked like he had the alcohol sweats, which made me laugh out loud when he typed that. Dude, I mean, like these guys, obviously Barriault's been knocked out violently in his last 2 losses. He's 6 months removed from the most recent knockout and about 9 months removed from the Pyfer knockout where he went face first into the canvas. Those are always the scariest knockouts, and you don't like seeing people get knocked out that way. So both of these guys are nearing the end of their career. But, I mean, at this point, Bruno Silva, I mean, you might probably have a better chance. I might have a better chance of beating Barriault tomorrow than Bruno Silva does. I mean, like, if Uncle Weezy got put on the money line right now against Marc-Andre Barriault, and make no mistake, I would lose that fight, and I'd probably get stretchered out of there, and you'd all be praying for me. But my suggestion is that I might go off as a smaller underdog than Bruno Silva does, because people might actually say, well, at least Weezy cares. At least Weezy's going to try. And I would try, because I'd be fighting for my life out there. But Marc-Andre Barriault would murder your Uncle Weezy, and I hope you would miss me when I'm gone. But I don't know if Bruno Silva's even going to... He might walk out there and tap but right when the ref says fight. Bruno Silva's completely done for. And the fact that he missed weight just kind of put the cherry on top and let us know that he's showing up for a paycheck. That paycheck is going to cash, ladies and gentlemen, as long as he sets foot into that cage. And then he's going to go off into the sunset and do whatever the next chapter in his life says he needs to do. So I think Barriault is probably going to finish him, actually. I picked earlier in the week Marc-Andre Barriault by decision because Bruno Silva has been notoriously hard to knock out. He's a very durable guy. And even, when he's been put in bad spots in recent fights when he clearly didn't give a shit back then, he still fought through and made it the full 15 minutes. So the original pick was Barriault by decision. But I think Barriault, if he fights smart, right, he doesn't go out there and box with this dude. Bruno Silva's been submitted 7 times, and he does not have good takedown defense. So I think Barriault can maybe surprise him with a takedown, and if he does that, maybe he can finish with a submission. So I took a quarter unit shot on Marc-Andre Barriault to win by submission at plus 1,600. It's a high upside play with a very low investment, a quarter unit to try to win 4. I think it's worth a shot, and I think if Mark fights smart to protect his chin, he will grapple here. And then that line will hopefully look like value in hindsight, but we'll see how it goes. The next fight. And yeah, Barriault was minus 140, but now I think he's where is Barriault right now? He's minus 158. The money's coming in on him because I think everybody knew that Bruno was already mentally checked out, but now that he didn't even bother to try to make weight, kind of proves that this guy probably didn't even train for the fight. So yeah, I think Barriault is going to win, probably inside the distance now. Next fight, Navajo Sterling versus Ivan Erslan. Sterling minus 300-ish, Erslan plus 250-ish. Fight doesn't go around minus 180 here. I'm picking Sterling by second round knockout. Erslan is a pretty well-rounded fighter. I'm just, when I looked at the recent tape, there's no offensive takedown attempts anywhere in his tape. None. If he gets on top of his opponent, it's because his opponent initiates the grappling, and then he uses his strength and size to kind of like get an underhook, turn the position, and put them on their back. And then once he gets on top of you, Ivan Erslan's got really nasty ground and pound, and he can finish the fights from top position, but I've never seen him wrestle. And he's from Europe, so I'm just going to assume that he can't because he's not Russian. Navajo Sterling is still very young to the game, but his kickboxing game looks to be very clean and very looks like he's got a lot of weapons there. He can mix his kicks and his punches really well, maintains range, and flashes power. So I think Navajo can win the minutes and the moments while this fight is standing. And since I haven't seen Ivan actually go to any offensive wrestling ever in his professional career, I have to assume that this fight's going to be the kind of fight that Sterling's comfortable in. And if that's the case, I rate him as the far more dangerous kickboxer, not just with the moments, with the power, but definitely with the minutes, because Ivan only throws hands. He throws no kicks at all. The guy comes from a boxing background. He's a one-punch power guy, and he'll kind of like, he fights like Drickus. He'll do nothing for like about 10, 15 seconds, and then he'll rush in with a 5-punch combination, back off, reset, and then wait for another blast about 30 seconds from then. So I think that Sterling's going to be pretty easily figure out what this guy is trying to do, find the code, download the information, and then find the kill switch in the second round. So I like Sterling to win this one by KO, and I think we're going to see him get it in the second round. Next fight, Bukauskas versus Cutelaba. There's been some money coming in on Cutelaba here, and I absolutely agree with that. Modestus is on a good run. He's won 4 of his last 5 fights, but Cutelaba's on a good run. He's won 3 of his last 4 fights, and I think he's fighting and beating better guys than what Bukauskas is. Wins over guys like Ibo Aslan and Ivan Erslan are better than Modestus's wins over guys like Cerquera, Procneo, Zach Pauga. These are not good names. So Tyson Pedro's retired. These guys were all either cut or out of the sport at this point, but they are bringing Cerquera back for one more ass whooping. Shout out Julius Walker. He's going to get his first UFC win when he faces that big fraud. I think about a month and a half from now. So yeah, I like Cutelaba a lot here. I think he's got more power on the feet. He certainly throws with more power and purpose. He's the much better grappler. He's a lot more experienced. He's faced the much better strength of schedule and beaten the much better strength of schedule. Common opponent is Khalil Roundtree. Modestus Bukauskas almost had his career ended by Roundtree, and Cutelaba absolutely dick-sawed him in the first round. So like Cutelaba, I like him to win this one by KO in round 2. I don't trust Modestus's durability in this weight class. He's been finished in 5 of his 6 pro losses, submitted once, knocked out 4 times. Iwan hits like a truck, but Modestus is really going to have to worry about the wrestling and grappling game of Iwan Cutelaba here. So I don't understand why this line is close to a 50-50. Iwan Cutelaba is my biggest money line bet of the week. And I think that this line is, I just don't understand it. Maybe Modestus will get the win here, but that's not how I see this one playing out. I think Iwan might even toy with him. Next fight, Jessica Andrade versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. Jasmine's a pretty big favorite here, and I agree with it. She's just the much bigger and more physical fighter. I take Jessica Andrade very seriously at 115 pounds. At 125 pounds against somebody with a grappling heavy game plan, I just don't like this for Andrade. She's the person that always has to close range. So Jessica always has to pressure. And she would have to do that because she's 6 inches shorter than Jasmine. She's got a 6-inch reach disadvantage. So if she just stays at range, Jasmine can just throw teep kicks and jabs and actually win the minutes. But Jessica's going to have to come forward. And when she does, you wind up in the clinch with Jasmine, and you don't want to be there with her. She wins the dirty boxing exchanges while she's there because she's very strong and very physical, and that's where she gets her takedowns from. Once Jasmine gets into top position, she does great work with her ground and pound. Her Brazilian jiu-jitsu is improving. Her conditioning has always been there. It has always been UFC level. Her durability is always UFC level. And there are some people in this division that have the potential to be mean, that have the ability to be able to hurt their opponent. Both of these ladies have that ability, but Jasmine is the one that's going to be in top position. So I think it's going to be a vicious knockout finish for her. I think she's going to get to top position. I think she's, Jessica's going to be wearing her weight, and I think the size difference is going to be too much. I think Jasmine is going to be too fired up with the home crowd here. And I think that this fight was made with the specific intention of getting Jasmine a big win in front of the Canadian audience here. So, yeah, Jasudavicius, second round knockout is the pick there. Next fight, we got Mike Proper Malott at minus 164. Charles Chuck Buffalo Radtke, otherwise known as C. Diddy. We got Chuck is the underdog here. Malott the favorite. Fight doesn't go to decision, sitting around minus 220. I got Radtke here. I think he's going to find a knockout, potentially a submission. I like Radtke inside the distance. Mike Malott, I think, is lacking confidence in his ability to be able to take big shots and to be able to fight at a high pace for 3 rounds. After he got finished by Neil Magny in round 3 of their fight, which was really the last 90 seconds of the 3rd round is when Mike lost control of that fight and was finished. But if you look outside of that 90 seconds, his UFC career has been impeccable. He is finishing guys. He is winning minutes on the feet. He is being able to get takedowns and win minutes on the mat. Mike Malott is a very well-coached and well-rounded fighter, but I think Charles Radtke just has that dog in him. That when you talk about which one of these guys has that dog in him, it's Radtke. And then when you look at how Radtke fights, he's going to make you fight him. Radtke's not going to just sit at range and try to win a point fighting battle. The guy always fills the space either with strikes or with forward pressure. Charles's wrestling is underrated. Charles's grappling game is underrated. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and a high-level one at that. So I think that Radtke's going to make Malott fight. I think he's going to have to really watch out for Mike Mallott's guillotine because it's phenomenal. And I think Mike's a really good fighter. He's very technical. He's very well-rounded. He can finish fights on the feet with his strikes. He can finish it on the mat with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And he's shown the ability to do that over and over again, but I just don't know how comfortable in the cage he is. After the Giles fight, I did not like seeing Mike take his time against a completely harmless fighter in Trevin Giles. Trevin Giles isn't knocking anyone out. He's not submitting anybody. Unless you're just completely not UFC level, Trevin Giles isn't getting you out of there. So what the fuck was he afraid of? A guy who throws one jab every 90 seconds, So seeing Malott be afraid to get tired, seeing him refuse to step on the gas against somebody that's maybe a third as dangerous as somebody like Radtke, who's got real knockout power in his left hook, who puts a real pace and pressure on his opponents, whether it's in the clinch, whether it's a distance striking range, or whether he's trying to wrestle you and get into top position. So Charles Radtke, somebody I really like a lot at plus money this week. Odds Shopper members got Radtke at plus 195. I think he's much worse than that in terms of his price right now. But when we have some great tools on the Odds Shopper on my spreadsheets for identifying value in these fights, and we saw it with Radtke. I'm picking him to win this fight outright as an underdog. And then if he finishes him and gets on that mic in Canada, it's going to be an epic post-fight win speech. So I'm really rooting for our guy. Chicago, Illinois, stand up. Valley Flow striking, stand up. Looking for Charles Radtke to get a second-round knockout here. Next fight, Benoit Saint-Denis versus Kyle Prepolec. Prepolec was scheduled to fight today. He was going to fight Michel Dufour tonight in, I forget which Canadian promotion, whether it was BTC or what the other one called, Battlefield Fight League, BFL. I forget, but he was supposed to fight. So he was, ready to peak and ready to fight this weekend. So, maybe it won't be quite as easy of a fight as everybody thinks it's going to be, but Benoit Saint-Denis is just a nightmare of an opponent to take on less than 1 week's notice. This guy is just going to bring constant offense, and he's extremely durable. So he's just going to, make you get into an extremely attritional fight, and he's going to rely on his durability and his ability to push a hellacious pace with his grappling and his striking and his clinch work and his pressure. And I don't see anybody standing up to that pace unless they're training for it for 8 months. So I think Benoit is going to go out there and just shave this guy's ass in the first round. I think the most likely path against almost a pure striker in Kyle Prepolec is to go out there, just get that takedown, use your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt to go out there and find the finish. So Benoit Saint-Denis first round submission is the pick. Next fight, Natalia Silva going up against Alexa Grasso. Grasso just lost the belt and had a trilogy against the toughest fighter in the history of the division in Valentina Shevchenko. Grasso, somebody that doesn't really have any offensive wrestling and has above average striking, but not terribly dangerous. So I like Natalia to win this fight by decision. She's the much better striker. I am just blown away by Natalia Silva's striking. If you pressure her, her ability to be able to land big strikes as you close the distance against her because of her speed and because of the precision on her strikes is really good. She's got a lot of power, so she can knock you down with the kicks that she throws. And if you don't pressure her and you're not walking onto these big shots, it becomes even worse because Natalia has phenomenal speed, probably the fastest striker in the entire division, and her long-range weapons are perfect. So I don't see Alexa really even getting close to her in this fight. I think Alexa's going to have to sell out for the pressure. I think if she does, she's going to walk onto a bunch of really big strikes. I don't think Alexa has anywhere near the level of wrestling necessary that it's going to take to get Natalia Silva to the ground. Because if Jasudavicius can't take you down and hold you down, I don't think Alexa Grasso is going to be able to do that because that's never been her game plan. Natalia Silva is not going to take Alexa down and let Alexa use that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that she seems really comfortable being offensive with. So I think that this is going to be Silva all day, one of my favorite parlay pieces on the card. And I think Natalia might be next or one fight away from a title shot. And I think that she's one of the most unique and difficult matchups in the entire division for anybody because I don't see anybody coming close to winning minutes or moments against her at distance striking range, and her ability with her footwork, distance management, and long-range weapons to be able to manage that distance is going to make it extremely difficult to take her down. And the takedown defense and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that she has already, it's not going to be easy if you do take her down. She's got a great arm bar from guard that she's gotten a number of times on the regional scene, and her takedown defense and get-up game are both excellent. So I really like Natalia Silva here. I think she gets the job done by decision, but I think one of the sneakier bets of the week could be a Silva inside the distance prop between plus 500, plus 600. This girl's got crazy power, and I think the way that people are going to get frustrated trying to close the distance against her is going to open up the opportunity for her to land big, potentially fight-ending strikes. Next fight that we're going to talk about is Jose Aldo versus Ayman Zahabi. I got Zahabi here by decision. Obviously Jose Aldo is just not serious right now. When you pull a Hamzat and show up 10 pounds heavy the day before the fight, and with the last minute call, like, hey, you got to call the opposite camp with your tail between your legs and be like, guys, I didn't train for this fight. Sorry, I didn't do my road work, and I'm just too fucking old to cut to this weight anymore. Remember when Aldo was a huge featherweight and it was like, dude, he's killing himself to make 145. Now he's old. He's got 1 foot out the door of the sport. He's only going to take fights against guys that are not going to try to grapple him at all. Last 2 fights are against Zahabi and Martinez. So I don't like this one for him. I think that Zahabi's just in a better place in his career right now. And the coaching that Ayman Zahabi has is going to allow him to be able to do what Aldo doesn't want to do, which is do anything but box. So I think Zahabi could potentially try to wrestle him to tire him out. I think he could clinch up with him. And I also think that he can just be very patient while this fight is at distance striking range, looking to counter and looking to just maybe fill the space with a little bit more volume. So I like Ayman Zahabi to win this fight. I think decision is most of his win equity, but I wouldn't get cheeky because if Aldo's showing up 10 pounds heavy, he might just be collecting a check and letting this dude finish him. So, I think Zahabi, I think that this is very intriguing plus money, and I think it's an easy click to make. Co-main event of the evening, Valentina Shevchenko versus Madame Fiorot. We got Fiorot about minus 130, Valentina sitting around plus 110. guys, I have no idea who's going to win this fight. I really don't. I think if anybody can take Manon down and exploit that ground game that everybody's been trying to exploit since she got here, but unsuccessfully, it could look like in retrospect like an easy win for Valentina. But Manon is very difficult to close distance again. She's got great footwork, great movement, great distance management, and great long range weapons. So if she's able to just continue to keep that distance, I think that she's the more likely fighter to win this fight, because one thing I've never seen out of Valentina Shevchenko is relentless pressure. She's never needed to do that. She's always just willing to kind of stand in the center of the cage. She loves the counter. She slows down the offense of her opponents because of the threat of the wrestling and the threat of the counter. So it winds up kind of being a low volume point fighting battle where she's kind of landing the slightly bigger strikes and maybe mixing in takedowns to fill that space with activity that allows her to win minutes, bank rounds, and get her hand raised by decision at the end of the fight. But Fiorot has also been a master of doing that. She finished her first 2 wins, but since then it's all been decisions. It's all been dominant decisions where she is winning the minutes at range. And when you look at these ladies, they both land about 1.5 strikes every minute more than their opponents do. Like they're landing 1.5 strikes for every one that their opponents land, but Manon's landing more. When you look at my stats here, you can see that in the distance striking numbers, Valentina lands 4.1 per minute, but Manon's landing 6.4. So she's landing 2.3 more distance strikes per minute than Valentina is. And while she absorbs a lot more at 4 per minute than while Valentina is only absorbing 2.7, also look that Manon's got 13 strikes headed her way, while for Valentina, it's only 9. So both of these ladies are in that spot where they're both equally efficient in terms of what they land according to what they absorb, but Manon does more. Manon's attempting 16 distance strikes per minute, while Valentina's attempting 9. So if Valentina can't close this distance, if she's not used to fighting a pressure-heavy game plan in this big cage with her long-range weapons and with her increased output, I think Manon fills the space, keeps this standing, and wins a decision. Which brings us to the main event of the evening. It's going to be Belal, remember the name, Muhammad, going up against Jack Della Maddalena. I'm going with Belal by decision here, but it's another fight that I'm a little bit spooked by, because we're hearing Belal Muhammad say that he's going to just box. He's not going to wrestle here. He's going to prove a point. And the last thing that I ever want to hear as a gambler is that the fighter that I want to back is out there trying to prove a point. The only point that I want any fighters that I back trying to prove is that they're going to try to win the fucking fight and cash the bet for their Uncle Weezy. And if Belal is seriously going out there saying he's not going to shoot takedowns against a guy in Jack Della Maddalena who has lost a ton of minutes and hasn't really been able to stop takedowns at this level, then that is saying that I don't give a shit about the point that you're trying to prove. I'm trying to cash bets here. So I cannot lay juice on Belal Muhammad if I'm not 100% sure that the dude is going to wrestle. Because if he does wrestle, Jack just doesn't have the hardware in order to stop that. That's plain and simple. Belal's been doing that at this level for a very long time. And the reason he's 18-2 to the decision over his career is because this guy is the smartest fighter in the division. He always finds the weaknesses of his opponents and he exploits that weakness. Where is Jack Della Maddalena weak? Takedown defense, get up game, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and decision-making in the grappling exchanges. Let's not forget that this guy tried to pull guillotine like 4 different times in the Basil Afez fight and put himself on his back in each of those spots. I mean, he's not getting a guillotine against fucking Belal Muhammad. So that decision-making in the grappling exchanges better get a whole lot better for Jack Della than it was in the Hafez fight. He got really lucky being able to come back at the end of the Gilbert Burns fight there. A phenomenal scramble, pushes off the fence, stands up, lands a knee, and the fight's over. And he almost finished it before Burns got that takedown in the third round too. So when you see a guy like Jack Della Maddalena, who's landed 6 knockdowns in 7 UFC fights and absorbed 0, while Belal Muhammad has landed 0 knockdowns in something like 18 UFC fights, and he's absorbed 6. There's a big power differential on the Jack Della side. There's, I think, a little bit of a durability differential on the Jack Della side. Like when you look at Jack Della and you look at that nose on his face, it's like, oh man, that's nasty. Dude, look at a side profile of Jack Della Maddalena. That dude's face is as flat as a fucking pancake. You're not knocking that guy out. Anything that you land on his face is going to be spread evenly across, just a completely flat surface. Everybody else has contours to their face. Jack Della Maddalena has the contours of a piece of plywood. So I wouldn't want to be standing against this guy. His body work is nasty. He throws more volume than Belal does. Belal thrives off of pressure. When was the last time you saw Jack Della Maddalena take a backward step against anybody? Belal's path is with the wrestling here, and if he does not wrestle, I don't think he's going to be successful. If he wants to just prove that he's a better boxer than Jack Della Maddalena, he's foregoing a tremendous opportunity to exploit the weaknesses in this guy's game that still exist. So I'm picking Belal Muhammad to win by decision because I try not to pay attention to narratives. I try not to listen to interviews. I want to go by what they've done in the past, what I've seen them do in the cage, because I think that's the most honest representation of how to cap fights, is to look at what they've actually done in the cage when the money's on the line, when the record's on the line, when they're underneath the bright lights. And when Belal Muhammad is underneath those bright lights, what does he do? He makes really good decisions. He finds the weaknesses in his opponent's skill set. He exploits them and he wins. And if he fights like that tomorrow night, I think it's going to be Belal Muhammad and Still, and we're going to figure out when the next time he's going to fight is. And hopefully it's not going to be on the Chicago card if they're doing it in August, though, because that's too quick of a turnaround, and I don't think you want to do that to Belal. So, yeah, Belal Muhammad decision. That takes us through the full card breakdown portion. The Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week this week. It's got to be somebody that's got that dog in them, and that's going to be the Charles Radtke money line. Odds Shopper members got him at plus 195. He can still be had for plus 135, and I think Charles inside the distance is also a good look this week, as this guy finishes fights when he's doing his best work, and Mike Malott has been finished in both of his professional losses. So I think that Charles Radtke to win inside the distance is a good look this week, as well as getting plus money on his money line. And then that brings us to the last order of business for the full card breakdown, and that's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Who's going to win and win violently and do it at a fair price so that we can actually make some money backing this fighter? And it's the fighter that I have the biggest money line bet on this week, a two-unit money line bet, and I also have a 1-unit probability parlay where the Iwan Cutelaba money line is one of the legs. I'm looking for him now to not just win this fight, but to finish it. I think he can get a knockout on the feet because he throws with a lot more hate in his heart when he's at distance striking range. But what I really expect to happen is for Iwan to take this guy down, get on top of him, land nasty ground and pound, and then we can either find a ground and pound finish or he can lock up a submission, because the Brazilian jiu-jitsu of Iwan Cutelaba has gotten a lot better over recent fights, and he's a newly minted purple belt, and he showed that off in the Ibo Erslan fight, really setting up a beautiful arm triangle and finishing it. So we got a full card breakdown. The dog pick of the week is going to be Charles Radtke. Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week is close to a pick 'em this week, so a lot of value on the Iwan Cutelaba side, which is going to bring us to the last order of business of the week, and that is your Uncle Weezy's Greasy 4-leg parlay. And what we're going to do is just take you through it real quick. Leg number 1 is going to be the Marc-Andre Barriault money line. You might ask, Weezy, are you worried about Marc-Andre Barriault's chin? Of course I am. Of course I'm worried about it. There's always a sweat when it comes to gambling. There's no such thing as a sure thing, especially in this sport. But I'm very confident that Bruno Silva is checked out completely. And when you're checked out completely, I think the UFC Octagon is one of the worst places in the world that you could possibly be. So I do think that Marc-Andre Barriault, who was minus 166 before we started this stream and is already minus 170, and I think is probably going to close somewhere to minus 250 by the time this fight goes off, because I don't think Bruno Silva is going to give any effort in there at all. Leg number one, Marc-Andre Barriault money line. Leg number two is going to be Navajo Sterling to win by knockout. I don't see any wrestling upside on the Ivan Erslan side. And as a result of that, I think this fight's going to stay standing. And I think that Navajo Sterling is going to use his superior kickboxing pedigree, his better kicks, his better range management. And I think that when Erslan crashes the pocket looking to land big shots is when the faster, more cleaner, more technical striking of Navajo is going to find a big counter that shuts his lights off. We've seen Ivan Erslan finished twice on the regional scene by lower level Eastern European competitions. So I think that Sterling has the kind of power to finish him as well. So in order to fatten up the odds on this parlay, we're going with Navajo Sterling to win by knockout at minus 105 to bring this up to plus 210. Leg number three is going to be Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, Iwan Cutelaba. The money line is still sitting at only minus 120 here. That brings us up to a really hefty plus 468 on this three-leg parlay here. And like I say, you know, when you got him as the ass shaving of the week, I'm always going to put him in there as one of the legs of this parlay. And the price is right. So I really like the minus 120 price. That's going to get us a really good price at plus 468 on the three-legger. And then leg number four is the best striker in the women's flyweight division, Natalia Silva, to go out there and outstrike a pure boxer with a lot less weapons in Alexa Grasso. I think Silva's going to make this look fairly easily. I think she's going to coast. And if we hit the first three legs, hedging out on a plus 200 Alexa Grasso money line, I think is a great way to lock in a profit. So those four legs right now brings us up to plus 700 on DraftKings Sportsbook. We're getting a slightly better price on Silva, and we're getting a slightly worse price than on Marc-Andre Barriault than when I started the show. So plus 700 on DraftKings Sportsbook is how we're going to try to get this first Greasy four-legger in a couple of months to cash. Definitely on a cold streak with the Greasy four-legger, but they're four-leg parlays. You know, they're not going to hit every week, but we definitely got to get our heads out of our asses, cash all four legs this week. And this week, I think it's going to be easy because we got three money lines. I think Barriault has got it getting an opponent that's completely checked out. I think the market is just completely wrong on the Iwan Cutelaba, how they're pricing this money line. And I think Natalia Silva at minus 250 is probably going to look minus 400 here as she just dominates the striking exchanges of this fight. We just need Navajo Sterling, who wasn't able to finish Tuco Tacos last time out. We need him to show a little bit more urgency and get Ivan Erslan out of there, and we will cash this thing. What's going on with you guys in the chat? I see we got 247 live viewers right now. Hopefully some of you decide to sign up for the Odds Shopper, where you get access to my stats packages with the matchup stats, with the individual fighter stats, with the over-under betting model, with the prop betting model. You get access to my fight write-ups, which have, you know, detailed write-ups about trends, about strength of schedule analysis, distance striking analysis, clinch and ground striking analysis, grappling analysis, strengths and weaknesses of both fighters, summary and conclusion, and then a pick and the best bets. And you're going to get that for every fight on the card. You're going to get a detailed stats package, which has every fight on the card, and will give you as much information as you could possibly want about what these fighters' histories are at the UFC level. You're going to get access to 4 hours of subscriber-only content, including balls deep breakdowns with Uncle Weezy and Probability. You're going to get access to all my track bets. You're going to get access to our Discord community, and where we share information, talk fights. It's a great way to not just support my work, but support your betting habit by giving you access to incredible amounts of information that are going to help you make better gambling choices and be a positive EV long-term MMA gambler, UFC gambler. So join us. 50% off link in the description of this video. And if I get 2 more signups by the end of the day today, I'm going to release Balls Deep breakdowns for free so that you can get access to all of these fight write-ups as well, because the link is in the description of the video. So if you want to actually get access to everything, the probability show notes, the write-ups on every fight, the actual full card breakdown, which takes 2 hours. I need 2 more signups. I need 2 people to click that link in the description of this video. But let's see what's going on with everybody here. What's up with you freeloaders? What's going on here? I see we got a couple of donations in here. We got Disperdeck in the room saying, can't wait for the Wheeze. Oi! And we got Michael Angelo saying maybe a Greasy 3-legger. We might go with we're going with the 4-legger. I do a Greasy 3-legger every week. That's the probability parlay. And that one is hit like, I think, 4 out of the last 5 weeks. So, the ones you get here for free on YouTube, the people that aren't the members of the Odd Shopper, they're not going to cash as often. And frankly, I don't give a fuck, because it's the people on the Odd Shopper that are actually supporting my work that I want getting access to all the best content and the best parlays. And hey, I'm up 19.5 units this year with a 15% return on investment on my track bets. So you're not only getting access to really good track bets, but you're getting everything else that you wouldn't get anyplace else, which is the stats packages, the subscriber-only content, and all the fight write-ups, all that stuff. So, yeah, maybe a Greasy 3-legger if that's what you feel like doing. But I'm giving it out as a 4-legger this week. We got my guy Olajuwon Dream, one of the people that actually signed up. One of the people that said, you know what? I'm going to sign up for the Odd Shopper package here, and hopefully somebody will get to see this show for free. But we only got 3 out of the 5 signups. He's saying, grease me up with some poutine grease. My man would know. He's from Canada, and poutine is delicious. We got Adil Ibrahim saying, Weezy, there's 12 fights on this card. Can we not have you give us 6 highly probable wins? It doesn't have to be meat on the bone, just 6 locks per your take. My favorite 6 bets, just on money line, I would say would be Natalia Silva, Navajo Sterling, Jasmine Jasudavicius, Iwan Cutelaba, Marc-Andre Barriault, and Charles Radtke. And Adam DeLuca, he wants meat juicy. Adi's saying, I've got Almakhan, Aldo, Radtke, Grasso, Valentina, and Bilal as my lock. Spare your wisdom upon my picks for a brief 30 seconds. Wheeze. Oi! So I've got Katona winning, but I could see that fight going either way. The Aldo fight should be really close. I don't know who's going to win that one. I'm picking Zahabi. And then, Aldo showing up, not giving a fuck today, makes me a little bit more confident in Zahabi. Charles Radtke is my dog pick of the week. I don't like Grasso at all this week. I think she's going to lose. Valentina Fiorot, I think, is a very, very close fight. And I think Bilal fight is very close. We got 7 people waiting and not a single thumbs up yet, people. I'll be the first one then. Fall in line and follow suit, you degenerate bastards. We got my guy Mushroom in the room, is sneak watching at work saying, oi, yes, what's up, Mushroom? We got Christian Navarez saying, already did my picks with Weezy's write-ups. Welcome to the team, my man. Let's fucking cash them all this week. We got Michael in the room saying, I'm watching from the gym. Let's get it, boys. That's a place to be right now, because every time Michael shares us a picture in the Discord from his gym, there's some ridiculously beautiful women that he works out with. So shout out, Michael. I hope the workout's going well, my man. We got Adam DeLuca saying, if you don't put the whole bank on Bilal decision, you are allergic to money. We got Christian saying, Adi, you have losers on there according to him. Yeah, they're my picks, but they're certainly not 100% accurate. I can guarantee you of that. I do like Radtke and Bilal, though. We got the 4-ounce snipers in the room saying, oi. We got my guy Helder Sturari in the room saying, let's go. Hope you're doing well, Unc. And you guys on the chat, let's give this man some money. Let's do it, Helder. I hope all is well for you down there in Brazil, my man. We got TT2996.chrono saying JDM knockout will feed families 5 rounds and they all start on the feet. Even if Bilal has some success wrestling and controlling him, he will be outmatched in the striking. I think he is going to be outmatched in the striking. I don't think there's a big difference between the two of them because Belal has excellent boxing. He just does his best work when he's pressuring forward, and it's going to be very, very difficult to pressure Jack Della Maddalena because he wants to be in the pocket. And if you walk into that pocket with him, you're giving him exactly what he wants. The way that he works the body, switches levels on his strikes, moves his head, and eats clean shots. It's not a guy I want to be in the pocket with. So I tend to agree with you, man. If Belal ain't wrestling, might be a rough night for him. We'll see. We got Go Flamingo in the room. What's up, dude? Good to see you. Saying, gather around our dear uncle, boys and girls. It's time to get greasy. Good to see you hanging out in here, brother. We got Adi saying, Christian, I appreciate you, buddy. 11th hour picks. Perhaps share your picks with us to the class. We got the High Owl is in the room saying, oi, yes. We got 4-ounce Sniper saying, pipe it up. We got, you mean Jack Della Maddalena, the guy who went to split decision with Bozal Hafez like a year ago? It was definitely more than a year ago, but yeah, man, that was not a great performance by him. That's for sure. And a lot of dumbass guillotine jumps in that fight. He's got to clean that up in this one. Uncle Weezy, play that beat, says my guy Jake Edwards. What's up, Jake? Blow the horn. We got Forrest Daniels in the room saying, oi, smash that like button. Uncle Weezy is the hardest working analyst in the business. Truly appreciate you, Forrest. Thank you for the kind words, my man. We got Jake saying, yes, sir, of course. We've got Grayer saying, oh, yes. We got Adi saying, hey, we 2 minutes passed already. Drop that beat, Weezy. Uncle Weezy is never late. We got my guy Sam, one of the guys in the Odd Shopper, saying, oi. We got Jake Edwards saying, here's the best intro song on YouTube. Yes, sir. Shout out to my guy Matt from the Golden Octagon for putting that together for me. We got Chronos saying Belal died from a short check hook from Luque. If Jack lands that, he'll be unconscious for 5 minutes. We got Adam DeLuca saying, oh, we got Fresh Gamble saying intro song, low-key fire. We got Adi saying, I see you all bobbing heads to the track. Let's get it, degenerates. We got Brandon saying, oi, let's go for an on-site piping. Let's get it, Brandon. We got Barry McCockiner in the room saying, sneak listening while neglecting the family. This is heaven. What's up, Barry? Good to see you hanging out, dude. We got House of Pain in here with the money signs. Let's get it. Joseph Gonzalez saying, oi. We got my guy, the Carrillo, saying, Silva raising my eyebrows. She's a pleasure to watch fight and just a pleasure to watch. Go Natalia Silva. I think she's going to look really good on Saturday, and I also think that she's going to win the fight, ladies and gentlemen. My guy, the Carrillo, ring a ding-ding, ladies and gentlemen, saying, my brother, appreciate you. Need graduation money for your niece and nephew. Let's cash this greasy four-legger at plus 700. Let's see if Iwan Cutelaba comes through for us. Brad Katona comes through for us. The other money line bet was Charles Radtke. And if we could get a Barriault sub and a Radtke sub, it's going to be a party at your Uncle Weezy's house. Carrillo, thank you so much for the donation, my man. Appreciate you. We got House of Pain saying, give Uncle Weezy money now. We got Chrono saying the High Owl and Belal got KO'd bad by Luque. So you're bringing up a fight he won. Yeah, he won one against Luque and he lost one. So he's 1-1 against Luque, but the loss against Luque was a long time ago. We got Forrest Daniels saying, Uncle Weezy equals hardest working man in the business. Truly appreciate you, Forrest. You're always really generous with your kind words, man, and I appreciate it. Sport fans saying, if Belal wins by decision, I get so much money because he is in like 30% of my parlays. Yeah, Belal is going to be one of those guys where if he does win by decision, a lot of people are going to make money. Playing for real, saying, let's go for the Chicago traffic commute home. Good luck to you, man. It's just nasty out here, dude. I'm in Avondale. California by the expressway is a total mess. Belmont by the expressway is a total fucking mess. And Diversey by the expressway is a total fucking mess. Like they've completely destroyed this neighborhood with bike lanes, and they've changed all the parking structures and shit. It's so crazy. You could walk just about anywhere in this city good faster than you could do a 2-mile drive. We got the Carrillo saying, smash the like button, folks. We got Gus B saying, smash. There we go. Iwan Cutelaba to shave the Baltic ass of Modestus Bukauskas. Let's get it, man. He is the ass shaving of the week this week. And Jasudavicius to milk OnlyFans Andrade. I think we agree with you 100% on that one, AJ. Good to see you hanging out, brother. We got Gus B saying gross, but I'm listening. Barriault is juiced out of his mind. I hope he is, because I'm picking him to win, and maybe the steroids will help his chin. We got Achromatic in the room saying Bruno's done. He's in his Anthony Smith arc. Yeah, it definitely looks like, and he even said it. He even said he's done. So I take their word for that, when they say that. We got Paul Viverett in the room saying, "Aroo," got a little bit of a husky howl there. We got Carrillo saying, "Why aren't you leashes smashing the like button? No respect." We got Brad saying Cutelaba for another win. Dang, I got to start getting my money line bets in early. I always wait for DraftKings to come out with the props, and by then a bunch of lines have changed for the worse. Yeah, that's one of the things, Brad, that I've had to learn how to do is sometimes when those bet online props open, you see them and you say, that's a really good price. But now you have to decide whether you want to wait for those domestics like Bet Rivers and DraftKings to open those lines, or whether you just want to hit them on Bet Online when they're where they are readily available. And every time my mind tells me, you better just hit this. Every time it's something like where, like for instance, last week, a bet that would have lost for me. I like Jillian Robertson by decision at plus 150. I saw that open at plus 150, and I was like, man, that's a really good line. I should just bet that right now. And I would have lost it because Jillian got a finish. But like a day later, it was already plus 110. And then when it opened up on the domestics, you think maybe I'll still get 150. No, man. They opened it at plus 110 or plus 100, and you missed the line. So it's always tricky when you're trying to get the best lines. You really have to have an idea of where you think they're going to go, so that'll tell you whether you need to jump now or whether you can wait. Steven Jackson in the room saying, not used to you going live this early, Unc. Yeah, I mean, we're always on time, Steven. But yeah, I've been doing it 2:00 Central Time most Fridays, and it's a pay-per-view card, so I wanted to get this one out there, even though I've done so many shows this week, you guys. I did an Odds Shopper show earlier today. I did Chronic Combat Conversations on Thursday. I did Clint's show on Tuesday, the Die Hard MMA podcast. I did Stat Diggers on Sunday, and then I also did Balls Deep breakdowns and probability for my Odds Shopper crew. So I've been on camera 3.5 hours for Stat Diggers, at least 2 hours with Clint. I think maybe 6 hours between Clint and Stat Diggers, 4 hours for the Odds Shopper crew. That brings it to 10. An hour and a half makes it 11.5 for Chronic Combat Conversations. 12 hours when you figure the half hour I did with Odds Shopper today. And then we got this show. So I'm going to be on camera over 13 hours just this week for UFC 305, 315. So it's, very busy week for your Uncle Weezy. And somebody who's showing some love here, ring a ding ding. You guys, Mr. Glista with the always appreciate the insights. Unc, let's stack cash tickets like Giardinera on beef. Let's go. Chicago Italian beef, a little bit of hot Giardinera, a nice Duke's or a nice Portillo's Italian beef. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking with gas, Mr. Glista. Totally appreciate you, man. Thank you for the kind donation to the show. We got UFC picks and balances saying people still think Andrade has OnlyFans. She doesn't. I was heartbroken. Yeah, man, it's over. The OnlyFans days are over for Jessica Andrade. We got Olajuwon Dream saying Prepolec hasn't been knocked out before, and last sub loss was 2013 against Kevin Lee, taking a shot on the over 1.5 rounds at plus 155. Yeah, it might work. It might work if Prepolec can. And Prepolec was training for a fight, so it's not like he just got off the couch and was like, "I'm taking a show check versus Benoit Saint-Denis." He was supposed to fight Michel Dufour, who's a very good fighter. So he was training for that, and he's going to be in good fight shape. So maybe he will last 7.5 minutes, but lasting 7.5 minutes against somebody like Benoit Saint-Denis can be a tall order. We got Radtke's got that Manel Cop energy on the mic. It is definitely not Disney friendly. You know, he's always giving you the doubles. He's always using some colorful language out there. But I like Charles Radtke, man. I like the way that he fights, dude. He really brings it. And I think he's going to get in Mike Mallott's face and show him who wants it more. Remora seeing need 2+ money legs for a Bet Rivers profit boost parlay. What do you got? We need 2+ money legs. I am going to take my UFC fight write-up. So I'm going to move them to the other screen here. Oh, no, I don't need to because I got them hidden. So I don't have to show the probability show notes to everybody. All right. I want 2+ money legs from my guy here. I'm thinking let's do Charles Radtke inside the distance along with the Ayman Zahabi money line because I do not like Jose Aldo showing up 10 pounds heavy for this fight. I think that could be a serious opportunity for Ayman Zahabi to look a lot better than his money line. Where is he right now? Because I never pulled the trigger on the Zahabi money line. Looks like he's plus 170 on Caesar still. I'm going to have to, if that's still there, I'm going to have to play that. Let me see. Refresh. Because I thought that was a 50-50 fight anyway. Now that Aldo showed up in bad shape, he's 160. That's still a pretty good line. I think let's do that. Let's do Zahabi's money line and Radtke inside the distance, and that'll get you on Bet Rivers. Radtke inside the distance, I think is like what, plus 265, something like that. Radtke by finish plus 260. Ayman Zahabi money line is plus 155. That's plus 818. They're not giving me a goddamn profit boost. Why doesn't Uncle Weezy get a profit boost? But let's do that one, Remora. Let's get that, dude. We got the dream. Nice dream, says the Carrillo. What's up for F Carrillo? We got Olajuwon Dream. We got Bean Eggs in the room saying Andrade had OnlyFans at one time. It was closed around her Blanchfield fight. That is correct. We got Faraz will have him ready. I concur. Yes, sir. We got Olajuwon saying Zahabi decision and Valentina decision. I don't mind it. Agree with that call, but would fade Zahabi on. Oh, I would too. I agree with that. Zahabi's not a good DFS play this week because he just doesn't score a lot of points. And both of these guys are pretty low volume, and neither one of them really wrestles much. So I agree with that. Remora liked the Zahabi decision one. We got Jacob Cole saying, I think Manon wins, and it's not even close. Dude, if she goes out there in 50-45s Valentina Shevchenko, that's going to be so impressive. We got Chin Check MMA saying, oi, Chuck Buffalo fight week, Wisconsin's best. Yeah, man, training in Chicago now, but definitely a Midwest guy, Charles Radtke, really rooting for him to get the job done here. B-Neg saying Fiorot has great takedown defense and has the ability to get up. Yes, she does. She's got a very underrated grappling game, and it's hard just to even attempt takedowns against her because of the distance management, because how she makes you pay when you close the distance against her. And she's just so big and physical too. Could go Fiorot decision instead. I made it, says my guy Iceland Farts is in the room. Good to see you hanging out in here. We got Yitro saying, my only bet on this card is JDM finish only at minus 160. What do you think? I like that. I don't think Bilal's got a ton of finish upside. What worries me about that is that we've never seen Jack Della in a 5-round fight. So who knows how the cardio holds up in rounds 4 or 5 against somebody like Bilal, who's been there a few times before. First wave negativity says, remember when Bilal and Sean Brady had the worst boxing match of all time? Well, it didn't look bad for fucking Bilal when he knocked him out. It was a great performance, but that's the thing. Guys like Bilal, who have excellent takedown defense, excellent offensive and defensive wrestling, they get to choose where the fight takes place. And because of that, they can win minutes with their well-rounded skill set. So that's what Bilal did. He took that fight to where he had the advantage, and that's on the feet at boxing range, and he got the job done. Odds of Radtke getting a post-fight interview if he wins by finish, I would say 100%, dude. I really do think that they're going to want him on the mic, whether it's, at home or abroad. And this one's going to be in Canada. I think they're going to want him on the mic, dude. Radtke brings eyes. We got Jacob Cole saying if Bilal doesn't shoot, he loses. I tend to agree with you, my man. Now that's just mind games. Death taxes, Bilal might have said. That's why I did it, because I try not to take these narrative things into account. I mean, I think narratives can be so unreliable to bet on. You'd much rather bet on the stats, the tape, and the trends. The fight foo in the room saying you're not 100% sure Bilal is going to wrestle. LOL, I am, but I'm not confident he will have success. Jack's defense and get-ups are better than you give him credit for. His mistake is going for subs, but that's the thing. You cannot be making bad decisions by going for ill-advised submissions at this level. I'm not sure Bilal is going to wrestle because I'm hearing from people close to him that he's not going to wrestle. That's why. Sometimes you hear things and people tell you things and they say, Bilal, and Bilal's saying it himself. It's not just the people around him. Bilal is saying it himself that he's not going to shoot one takedown. He's going to show Jack Della the meaning of Canelo hands. But I have to assume that he is going to wrestle, so that's why I chose him to win the fight. Olajuwon Dream saying Bilal and still. We got a Chromatic saying Bilal will wrestle and still may lose. If he doesn't wrestle, he gets slaughtered. His brain would turn into mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes. That sounds delicious. Mr. Glista saying, I never understood JDM's last name. Is he a Canelo Mexican? No, that's definitely a Northern Italian name, Della Maddalena. That's, he's got that fair skin, the red hair. He's definitely a Northern Italian. And probably comes from some criminal stock because Australia supposedly was a giant criminal colony for the Brits. So I think a lot of the criminals got sent to Australia. But I don't know how true that is. The Australian people that I've met over the course of my life were not criminals. And in fact, they were delightful people. So yeah, Jack Della Maddalena, I think that's a Northern Italian name, but I'm not 100% sure. We got Sport Fan saying, wasn't Bilal saying something similar with the Leon fight about the boxing? Maybe he was. I would have to go back and check. But maybe he was. Forrest Daniel saying, Uncle Weezy said Jack Della Maddalena has the facial features of a piece of plywood. It's funny because it's true, dude. His face is flat as a pancake. When you see here, there's a contour. I've got a nose that sticks out. I've got a chin that sticks out. The forehead, there's like a profile there. With Jack Della Maddalena, it's just completely flat. It looks like when you look at him sideways, like there was never a nose there to begin with. There were just two holes in the front of his face that are used to bring in air. I don't know, man. It's pretty wild. We got, putting your faith in Cutelaba is like putting your faith in a finish in a woman's fight. It makes me nervous, LOL. Well, I mean, this is just me analyzing the line. You guys, we're wrong all the time about fight picks. I say it over and over again. Like last year, I had some of the best straight fight picks out of anybody on YouTube. Maybe the best, maybe number one. I was still only right 68.7% of the time, which means you're wrong 31.2% of the time. So 310 times out of 1,000, you're going to be wrong. So you have to find when you think the line is mispriced. And tell me where Modestas Bukauskas is better than Iwan Cutelaba at mixed martial arts anywhere. I would say definitely in measurables. He's a little bit taller. He's a little bit longer. He's always shown excellent conditioning. But he's low volume. He doesn't bring a lot of power for this weight class. He's been knocked out in 4 of his 6 pro losses. He has no grappling upside. And he hasn't fought even close to as tough of a level of competition as Iwan Cutelaba has. So I'm putting my faith in Cutelaba, not in the case that Cutelaba's going to go on a 10-fight win streak and be in the top 5 of the division. It's just that I think Cutelaba should be minus 200 here. So I have to put my faith in him because the market, I think, is getting the price wrong. So it's not like I love, I want to just bet Cutelaba for 10 fights straight because I think he's the best fighter in the division, but I just think he's much better than Modestas. Alexander likes power bar. He's saying that's exactly what I said. LOL, minus 250 by close. Yeah, I think so. And yeah, Seamus, there you go. JDM is Italian heritage. That's where the last name comes from. I thought it would be Italian with a name like Della Maddalena for sure. with the grain in the room, saying, I'm not feeling very confident on Sterling after that lackluster performance against Takos. Dude, he came close to finishing him several times. And yeah, I agree. It was a lackluster performance. I actually bet against Sterling in that fight. I 3/4 of a unit on the Takos money line at something like plus 700. And I had a quarter unit on Takos by sub, I think at like plus 2,500. I thought maybe he could get takedowns and, just we'd find out a lot about Sterling's ground game. And he did kind of get a takedown or two, but Sterling did a pretty good job of limiting his success once he was on the mat, staying safe, not giving up his neck, not giving up his back, getting back to his feet, and then just winning the minutes on the feet. So, but I think Takos showed a lot of durability in that particular fight. So I don't know, man. I do think that Sterling's going to get the job done by knockout here because Erslan is not going to try to wrestle him. And I think he's going to have a full 15 minutes to find the off switch. And we've seen it found on Erslan a couple times before. MMA Short saying best in the business. Just joined to hear the 4-leg like them all. Good luck. Good to see you, MMA Shorts. Thanks for hanging out, man. We got Will saying, I saw just the tip and thought this was Thomas Peterson's show. I guess it's not, but I'll stick around. Let me just tell you something, Will. Just the tip has been something that I've been doing here on YouTube for like 3 years now. Just the tip has been a thing. Thomas Peterson came out like last week saying it was just the tip Friday. That's bullshit, dude. That's my thing. So Thomas is probably just following in the footsteps of one of the great YouTubers of all time, me, your host, Uncle Weezy. I'm not accusing him of stealing my shit, but I think it's a possibility that he did. But Thomas Peterson, congratulations on a phenomenal performance last week against Dante Almays. Just pillar to post, ragdolled that dude, and really showed some high-level wrestling. So it was good to see Thomas show that skill that we knew he had coming into the UFC and really make it look good against Dante Almays. So great performance there. Thanks for hanging out, Will. Appreciate you, my man. We got Marcus Williams, Nubian Bookstore, Georgia, stand up, saying, enjoying the show. Keep up the good work. Nubian Bookstore. Marcus, I hope you cash all the bets today. Are you going with Bilal? Did you wind up betting him, man? It's going to be a great fight. Can't wait to see how that one turns out. We got Big Boy in the room saying, I hope Bilal wins because the streets need that Islam versus Ilya fight. Yeah, that would be really cool. I'd love to see that, man. I would love to see that. I want to see Ilya Topuria fight as often as possible. We got the Fight Fool saying Prize Picks is limiting you to $5. Now, this is bullshit. First 300, then 150, now $5. Prize Picks. Come on, man. My man Gabriel, you can't be afraid of him. You guys have got all the money. Don't be afraid of him. Step up. Let's get Gabriel Killian back to a $300 limit on Prize Picks. Let's start right now, man. Prize Picks has got a great platform for MMA betting, and I got to do more Prize Picks content and underdog content. Soyman saying the Uncle Weezy of increasing my net worth so much it makes me uneasy. Soyman, good to see you hanging out in here. I hope all is well, brother. We got Mr. Glista saying, thank you, Seamus. We got Loco saying, I'm in disbelief. How did you pick Brad instead of Beksat? I just think Beksat's got a lot to prove. I mean, do you think Beksat Almakhan is better than Gene Matsumoto? That's a legitimate question because I think Gene Matsumoto would put an absolute pace on Beksat Almakhan and fucking destroy him. And Katona went really close with a much younger Gene Matsumoto who's undefeated, a really good fighter. I think there's a lot of spots that Brad has shown us that this guy is a very legitimate UFC level bantamweight who can fight close with some of the best fighters in the division. So I think that it's a show me spot. And plus I got plus 159 for Brad Katona there. And earlier today, he was plus 110. So the market is really moving in favor of Katona here. We got the sponsor for the show, Stat Diggers, the guy who's single-handedly keeping it alive, our guy Avery, MMA_very on X. Go give him a follow. And he is saying, oi, we were talking about this card last night, me and Brady and Avery, and we like our spots this week. We think we're going to stack them high for this pay-per-view. And the market moves have been agreeing with our sentiments. So hopefully the market proves us right on Saturday. Great to see you in here, Avery. I hope all is going well, my man. We got Pickle Kush saying, good luck, Weezy, with the flapjacks. Good to see you hanging out in here, Pickle Kush. We got Weasel in the room saying, oh, what's up, Weasel? Good to see you hanging out in here. We got T.O. Phillips saying, am I crazy or is Jasmine -3? She's -345 right now. Wow. Yeah, that's a big number. It's a big number. But Jasmine, I think she's going to win that fight. We got Tony Soprano in the room saying, pass the gabagool and the prop bets. You got it, man. They've been passed, and they are hot, spicy, and ready to go, my man. We got Benino saying, ticket like flapjacks. Let's go. King Swap in the room saying, give Uncle Weezy money. I couldn't agree with that sentiment even more. And if you want to give your Uncle Weezy money, as you should, link is in the description of the video. Give me 50% less money than you normally would for a 1-month membership of the Probability Stats and Content package and support the work. And hell, if I get 2 more signups, I'll put up Balls Deep breakdowns for free this week. We got T.O. Phillips saying Jasmine -3.5 at -135, a smash spot. I like it. I like it because I think that there's a high probability of a finish. And I just don't know if Jessica is going to be able to stop the takedowns here or manage range in a efficient enough way to keep this woman off of her. So I kind of like that, dude. I think it's a pretty good look. DT Will with the flapjacks in the room. What's up, dude? We got sport fans buying saying, by the way, what's your cycle parlay? Like one fighter by KO, decision, and submission. So I've got 2 submission bets, but there's both extremely wide. Marc-Andre Barriault plus 1,600, and I've got Charles Radtke by sub at plus 2,200. If I'm doing a cycle parlay, I would go with Iwan Cutelaba by KO. I would go with Benoit Saint-Denis by submission. And the decision prop, Natalia Silva by decision. That's what I would probably go with. We got AN saying, love the write-ups in the Google Doc. Nothing compares. Let's go, Unc. DeKalb, stand up. What's up, AN? Good to see you hanging out in here. We got Golden Octagon saying, I went 1-1 on the play. I commented last week. Thoughts on this one this week? Radtke KO 2-3. And Jazz sub 2-3 plus 5,900. I like both. I've got Radtke by 2nd round knockout, and I've got Jazz by 2nd round knockout, but I feel like there's just as much of a chance for a KO as there is for a submission because it's going to be either ground and pound or a sub because it's not like Jazz is knocking around on the feet. She needs to get this fight down to the mat. So those sub props are really juicy. And I think that her Darce choke has looked really good lately, and that could be a way that she finishes this one up. Good to see you hanging out in here, Matt. T.O. Phillips saying, Uncle Weezy looks like a guy named Constantine who wants to know if you've got any tips. Constantine's my middle name, you guys. Yeah, my grandfather from Greece is named Constantine. Us Eastern European stock. We like our tracksuits. We like gambling. We like smoking. I used to smoke with cigarettes regularly many years ago, though. It's been a long time since I've done that. So, yeah. And when I was a senior in high school, my buddy Dave and we used to cut school weekly to go to Arlington Racetrack. I'd pick him up for school in the morning. We'd go to the 7-Eleven, buy the racing form. We'd each buy a copy of that. We'd sit in school for like the first 3 periods. We'd read the racing form. We'd pick the horses that we liked in the first 4 or 5 races. We'd head over to Arlington Racetrack, do some gambling, underage gambling at that, and then come home. Yeah, man, loved going to the track when I was in high school, man. You sell us in the room saying, does anyone think Bilal's on the juice? Man's 36, came out of nowhere, looking like a beast. You know, these guys get great nutrition. They get great supplements. They get the best training in the world. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about the performance-enhancing use of athletes, but we know that they work hard. We know that they work very hard. JDM going to leave Bilal like the previous Oh, we got Gus B saying, worried about Cutelaba gassing. Not really, no, because it's not like uh, um, Bukauskas pushes a pace, but Bukauskas barely wrestles offensively at all, and he throws very little offense. So I don't really see somebody like Prochnio, who got tired fighting for 2 rounds against him and gassed out. I don't see Cutelaba doing that. He just won a decision in his last fight against Ivan Erslan. And he's been to the scorecards a few times. On the positive side, we're probably coming to the end of Shevchenko. On the other hand, the replacement is Manon Fiorot. Yeah, I mean, like, Manon's not the most exciting fighter, but she's extremely good at what she does. We got my guy Yitro, ring a ding ding, saying JDM finish only -165. I think it's a great play. I think he's got most of the finish upside in this fight, but like I said earlier, the thing that worries me is that JDM has never seen the championship rounds. So there's a potential that he might slow down late and Bilal might be able to find a finish. But I do think that, I mean, like at -165, that's like 63, 64%. I think he's got more like 75% of the finish upside in this fight. So I think it's a very good bet, Yitro. Thank you for the donation, my man. We got Gabriel saying Zahabi scored good last fight against a guy who is hard to finish. Yeah, he had over 100 significant strikes, but still no takedowns. That's the thing. It's like, if you're pre-flop, you should be picking guys with some kind of grappling upside if you're looking to try to get, score a bunch of DraftKings points. MMA Shorts saying favorite DFS plays. Definitely Valentina Shevchenko. Marc-Andre Barriault will probably be a good one this week. Jun Yong Lee, who's -140 right now, was an underdog earlier in the week. So you might be able to get Jun Yong Lee at like less than 8,100, which would be a big play. Charles Radtke, I think, is a really good underdog play. I think Cutelaba's got a lot of finish upside sitting around 8,100 this week. And then Jasmine, I think, is a good high upside, expensive play because there's a lot of wrestling and control time upside there and some potential finish upside. And then, yeah, it's weird because like those main events, like I like Valentina in the co-main and probably Bilal in the main. I wish I could do it without logging into my DraftKings account. But yeah, those are some spots that I like this week. We got the milkman in the room saying, let's go, Weezy. Let's get this money. And he's saying, I'm going to be bringing milk to the odd shopper community when I get paid next. Thanks for all you do for us out here trying to pipe these bookies. Truly appreciate you, man. That's the best way to support my work, is to click that 50% off promo code to a 1-month membership to my odd shopper probability stats and content package. And, you're not only going to be supporting my work, but you're going to be supporting your decision-making with your UFC betting with some really good pricing tools, with some really great information on all the fights. Not just getting my track bets, but getting all the reasoning as to why I'm choosing those bets and how I'm analyzing the fight. So appreciate you. We got the Fromage Frog in there saying, what brand are your prescription frames? I just bought something similar but semi-rimless. Randy Jack John Xyloware, the hell? This is what I'm seeing. Oh man, the camera's not really picking that up. It says Randy Jack Jan 1916. That dude's got to be dead by now. I mean, you would think. Jacob Cole saying, we just hosted Canada at the White House. Last thing we need is registration. We got Muhammad in the room saying, oi. We got the fight fool Gabriel Killian saying, usually when you hear a fighter isn't going to wrestle, that means for sure he's going to wrestle. Him talking that way makes me confident he's going to wrestle just from history of other fighters saying it. Yeah, I hear you, dude. Like I said, I'm actually hearing from people around him that he's not, but I have to go by what I think is going to happen, and that's why I'm picking Bilal. We got Giacomo Della Maddalena is Italian. I'm sure it is. Yeah. Jack is just a nickname. That makes perfect sense. Yep, Giacomo. Brandon R. saying Ankalaev said he'd stand with Poatan and still shot Fantastic. Yeah, he did. That's an excellent point, man. His nose is all over his face. It is, and it's been flattened into a completely flat surface, man. It's like somebody took one of those fucking hammers that you use to pound out a chicken piccata. His face, man. Gabriel is saying Bukauskas is the better technical striker and has better cardio. I agree with both. Yes. And he's taller and longer as well. But the chin, the wrestling, the grappling, the strength of schedule, I think Ewan's got him in all those places. Like Chuck Buffalo too, potential to sub Mike, but why is his money line going to almost 3 times almost? Yeah, his money line is really definitely moving a lot this week. A lot of people are on the Chuck Buffalo money line. With the grain saying, did you see that RDR versus Whitaker is in the works? Do you think RDR has what it takes to win against the top 5? I guess we're going to find out, but yeah, I do think he does because he's got elite something, right? And I think that really helps when you're top 5. If you've got one part of your MMA skill set, which is elite, and then you can mask the disadvantages that you have elsewhere. And the great thing about being an elite grappler is that you don't always have to be the best wrestler. You don't necessarily have to get that single leg and get the guy on his back. You could take their back standing. You could pull guard and then start working for sweeps or submissions that will allow you to be able to get in the top position. And I think that RDR is going to have the ability to be able to do that. And when I see dominant grapplers, I want to see them pressuring. I have to see them pressuring because that's the only way you get close to your opponent so that you can start grappling them. RDR showed that in the Bo Nickel fight, and I think that's a great step in the right direction for showing that he's going to be able to be successful at this level, top 10 level in the UFC with that elite grappling. Overrating in a loss happens all the time. I was on Roberto Romero not long ago, and that sucked. Yeah, and there's a lot of examples like that, Sped. I was on Roberto Romero as well. I had him to win by decision at plus 265. And yeah, didn't happen. We did not cash that bet. And Timmy Kawamba looked great. So yeah, man, when you overrate somebody in a loss, it a lot of times the next time out, it's very disappointing. And I think some people are doing that with Bekzat Almakhan. Shout out Avery for sure. We got Fight Fu saying, I like a live bet on Sepp Straka plus 750 to win this week's PGA tournament. Sepp Straka plus 750. There we go. We got 4-ounce sniper. Ring a ding ding, you guys, with the $5 donation. Not sure if you're still live, but good luck on the bets. Time to milk the bookies against their will. I've got 1 unit to win 11, and I need Ariel to come through for me. Ariel? Who's Ariel? Ariel Helwani? Dude, if Ariel Helwani's stepping foot into that cage, he is going to get his ass shaved. Iman? Are you talking about Iman? I don't know who Ariel is, but I might just be completely. Maybe you're talking about Barriault. Yeah, I think Barriault. I think you're probably talking about Barriault. And we got the common sense man saying, what would be your dream matchup that never happened? Mine would be Khabib versus Oliveira. Man, there were so many fights I wanted to see Fedor have. And he never fought, he never came to the UFC. There were a lot of fights I wanted to see with Fedor. Great matchups that never happened. I always wanted to see Khabib versus Tony, but I think we all know now how that would have went had it actually happened. But and I wanted to see Benoit Saint-Denis versus Joel Alvarez. That was going to be such a good fight. I think those would all be good ones. But yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have seen Khabib versus Oliveira too. I think that would have been a really fun fight. I just got my first frames, Ray-Bans. There you go, Ray-Bans quality. We got Helder Sturari saying Bilal here in Brazil means dick. It won't be pleasant for Jack to have Bilal on top of him. That's for sure. Bilal means dick. I didn't know that. Oh, wow. Okay, so the Fight Fu say, my friend who has sparred and rolled with many fighters says the best grapplers he has ever rolled with are Ankalaev and RDR. Wow. That's some really high fucking accolades there for if Ankalaev is that good. What's your take on the 100 men versus the bear debate. I don't really care about that debate, but I can assure you this. If there was 100 men versus a bear, your Uncle Weezy would not be amongst those 100 men trying to win that fight. That is somebody else's fight completely, and I want no part of it. And I don't know who would win, but I'm guessing the bear would look pretty good. Anyway, Eamon does look like Ariel. Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, Eamon. So you need Eamon to win. There we go. He's talking about Eamon because him and Ariel look very similar. Yes, they do. We got Khabib would have killed Oliveira potentially. Yes. Yep. Khabib versus GSP would have been crazy. Yes, it would. That would have been the best fight. I think that would have been the best fight. Pretty much how the Makhachev fight went. Yeah. Makhachev did grapple him. Gabriel Killian, Makhachev's striking is light years ahead of Khabib. That is very true. We got Makhachev grappled him, and Mr. Arson saying Gabriel Killian and had very little success until he rocked him on the feet. Yeah. You guys, I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out here. 288 still hanging out live. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow me on Twitter at MMA Weezy. And if you really want to support the work, click that link in the description of the video. It's going to give you 50% off your first month's membership to the probability stats and content package that I offer on oddsshopper.com. Best way to support my work and best way to get yourself a tremendous amount of UFC gambling information so that you can make better UFC gambling decisions in the long term and be a plus EV better in this space. So check that out. Please try to support the work, and that means a lot to me. I'm still hoping that I get 2 more signups before the end of the day today so that I can release Balls Deep breakdowns for you guys for free this week. And if not, good luck on all your bets. Truly appreciate you hanging out here live. Next week, we've got an okay card, and then we're going to have a week off. So let's try to get on the winning streak starting this week. We can close it out next week and then take a week off. So appreciate you guys hanging out. We got Will saying, just based on their weigh-ins, it looks like Aldo is the one who pushed the weight to 145. I have a hard time thinking Amon would miss weight in this spot. He's very professional. Yep. How could there only be 28 likes? People don't care sometimes, B-Negs, but it's all right, man. I don't get paid by the like. We got the Fight Foo saying Arman out-wrestled him easily. So did Paul Felder. He's not that dangerous if you have good submission defense. We got Ucella saying, great show like always. Appreciate you. And we got Rollo Tomasi in the room saying, oh, it's a beautiful picture there, man. That looks like Greece there with the mountains and the blue tops there. I love that. So you guys have a great rest of your week. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 315. God bless each and every one of you, and we will see you next week for Stat Diggers for this UFC card that's going to be headlined by Gilbert Burns and Michael Morales. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Take care.